I'm hearing you loud and clear. That's ideal.
Nice.
Two,
Happy days.
Two typical cheuchters there. I kind of get a Zoom meeting going between.
What's cracking?
Oh, bugger all, mate. Nothing. Just working away. Yourself? How's things?
Pretty much the same, really. Yeah, just trying to get by, trying to get through things. Yeah, it's pretty tough time for everyone, I think, just now. Yeah, it's been, especially music, man. It's been from a year filled with great things, and it's been taken away from us. It's been pretty shite, but
of course.
Anyway,
where do you boys where do you go from there? Obviously, because you would have just had a calendar full to the rim, did you? And that's just been the rug's just been pulled from under your feet.
Yeah, pretty much. But I think it will come back next year. Hopefully next year. It's the not knowing, really. Yeah, it's not knowing.
Yeah.
It's not knowing when we're going to get it back. It's not knowing, if it's going to be the same as it was. It was going at the same pace as it was, because it was really starting to take off. And yeah, it's strange times, I think.
It was, yeah.
Times.
What's it been like in the? I hate going on about like COVID and all that, but what's it been like over there? Obviously, because you are not obviously we had the national lockdown, but then it can't. You will not be as tight over there now, are you?
No, we're currently in the Scottish Government's Tier 1 system, which is the best you can be without being at zero, obviously with nothing. So it's not as bad as it is, obviously, in Western Scotland, where you're seeing in the likes of Glasgow, Lanarkshire, Falkirk, etc., where places are in Tier 4 now, and they must be finding it really tough, really tough. This is going to be essentially their second lockdown now.
Yeah.
And even from personally speaking, the first lockdown was absolutely a nightmare. From the start, really. We got told we were to go home, and work had ended, and from there, all the gigs, you started seeing everything getting cancelled. In fact, the funny story was with the band. We were actually about to announce Glastonbury on the Monday.
No way.
Which is everybody out there that's listening will know that how big a gig that is. That's
fucking hell.
That is absolutely incredible for any band to be on that bill. It's never happened here in the Western Isles, so for us to be on that kind of scale in the map was massive for us. So that's one that really hit us, because we were going to get a big chance this year. It's not even, we get the crack because we're cheuchters and we know what Boydie's songs are about, and we can all relate to them at times. And but going to a new audience in England who've never heard Peat and Diesel, it could go either way.
Probably not understand a word you're saying now. Mm-hmm. It's obviously the podcast is predominantly based on mental health, not bad. I want to touch on the band first. How did it all come about? Because I remember a couple of years ago, it must have been on Facebook, and I seen a video of Boydie, and it was in a room. It must have been in a flat or something. There was no decor on the walls. It looked like there was hardly any furniture. It was just him making a noise. And I just remember thinking, what the fuck is this? But
Boydie day to day is a fisherman, so he doesn't actually spend much time at home, as you can probably tell from these videos. The house is just, box standard. You've got a bed to sleep and a couch to sit on. He doesn't even watch telly, actually. It's just his couch is for him playing music, and that's how it came about. Myself and Innes were in a band called Rock Island Line, pretty successful in the Western Isles regards to weddings and that, and we used to come up north to the likes of Durness Hall, and we had a great time, an absolute great time together. But as all bands do, after nearly, I think it was 7 years, it ran its course, and we knew it was coming to an end, and Innes was kind of starting to get fed up. You're playing the same songs every weekend, and there was nothing new really coming in, so that was fine. And basically Boydie was about, and Boydie had played with us a couple of times in the bars in Stornoway, and we met up. We literally met up, and we had no expectations. We were going to start jamming, and that's what we did. We spent most weekends together and just played, and Boydie had this catalogue of songs. Now myself and Boydie were quite pally before as well. So, you know, we used to have sessions up at the house, and he used to live in a place called Park End. It was an old council house, and there was a converted loft, and this was his studio, you know. So
Yeah.
he used to have a ceiling lamp, and there used to be a mic hanging down from the lamp, and he used to sing into that, into the computer. And whatever we were like, you just have the computer running the whole night because you never know what was going to come out. And this is the thing with Boydie. When we're away a lot of the time, he can come up like that with anything, you know, and we're like, oh no, we don't have it on video, or no, we don't have it on audio. In fact, Innes was saying tonight is he's got a lot of fresh ideas just now, and Boydie said, oh, do you want to come up for a jam tonight? And I was like, yeah, no bother. And Innes says, make sure and press record on the phone if you do go up. So from there, you know, we got our first major festival booking when we had one practice and one gig booked. We had never played live as a band. Now, put yourself in our scenario there. That is,
Scary.
you know, that it's mind blowing. I as a young boy growing up, listened to bands like Wolfstone, who
class.
Celtic music scene. Bands like Innes used to be. In fact, Innes was a founding member of the original Face the West. Now that sound, cheuchter sound that Face the West had, man, it was just phenomenal. And I always looked up to these guys, and I never say it to him. I never say it to Innes, but these guys were the peak. So when I was going through school, these are the guys I'm looking up to, and I'm thinking that's what I want to be. So I kind of, through school, didn't listen in maths, didn't listen in English, didn't want anything to do with it. Music and Gaelic was the two subjects that I really enjoyed, and I was pretty set on it. Studied traditional music in college straight after. I bailed out at the end of fourth year into fifth year. Went into traditional music, and I was loving it, you know, absolutely loving it. And unfortunately, it didn't work out for me. You know, I became a delivery driver, doing, you know, jobs around town, just trying to pick up work when I could. And
yeah,
then bang, you know, Peat and Diesels was formed, and you know, from that gig on at EDF in Newest, the booking started rolling in. Now at the time, I was in a relationship, and came to a head the next year in March. I moved back home, and a wee spell there for the next couple of months was very difficult, you know. That was one I was in for nearly 7 years.
Jesus.
But again, that's life, Scott, and that's these things happen in life, and you know, they either shape you or break you. And the band was a massive savior, man. The band actually lifts you through these kind of times of really, really, really deep. I can't really describe it honestly. If you haven't gone through these kind of things, you know, it's difficult to explain. Just really dark times, and you do it alone a lot of the time. You know, you don't really go to people. You don't really look for help. And the band, my one thing was that I was getting out at the weekends with Innes and Boydie. Not in the best frame of mind going on to stage, but once I'm there,
yeah,
it was fantastic, you know. And you know, I pushed through the months, had a lot of good friends, lot of close family, and got through fine. And the likes of the Barrowlands gig there, you've seen it sold out in the space of 3 minutes. You know, it's just wee things like that. People don't actually think it means that much, but it means the world to us. You know, just people that are absolutely nuts that are following this band from Stoneway. You know, they're absolutely bonkers. Absolutely bonkers they are. So yeah, the night of the Barrowlands, man, that was enough to bring anybody into a tear, because
it's phenomenal.
The place was absolutely hoaching, man. You know, and the vibe from the crowd was just whoa.
You must just be thinking, like, as you say, you were just up in Boydie's loft, just jamming away and that. And I find personally the most amazing thing, like what the best thing I find about the band is how humble the three of you have stayed. Mm-hmm. It's not gone, that fame and your rise to the top, it's not got like you were at that award ceremony and Boyd using a fucking boiler suit and a pair of welly boots.
Yeah, it was actually we weren't gonna, all three of us, obviously we're not gonna turn up in suits. It's not Peat and Diesel.
No.
So we were like, what can we do? We were traveling through Inverness, and Innes says, oh, you know what, we'll go to HIS. And we're like, yeah, you know what, we will. And there were some crackers in there, man. And he just wanted a plain navy Dickies boiler suit. So that's what we got him in the end. And everybody just looking at him on the night was just, oh, it was so funny. But they got it. Everybody that was there that night absolutely got why he was doing it. And, we wouldn't have it any other way.
No.
He went up. We can't get 2 words out of Boydie. And it was funny that night, actually. Boydie went straight up to the microphone after he had announced it was Peat and Diesel. And in the end, Innes, because he had a few drams in him, and Innes was like, oh, Innes just pushed him out of the way and just took over because he was just worried what he was going to say, No, but yeah, totally. It's the way you have to be. You can't let these things get to your higher ego, as so to speak.
Yeah, of course.
You've got to stay humble, and honestly, we're doing it purely for the crack and purely because we have people that actually want to hear it. If people had come out and said, right, that's rubbish, you have the odd few, but if the majority had come and said that, we wouldn't have done it.
Yeah,
but it's when every gig starts selling out that you're saying, right, okay, they want more, basically. So that's what we've ended up doing, and it's been some journey, man. Yeah, it's been phenomenal.
I mean, if gigs are selling out the whole time, you're not going to question how successful you are. Like you've sold out the Barrowlands, you're going to Glastonbury, like fucking hell, 3 boys from Stornoway going to Glastonbury, like that's mental. But like as I say, you have stayed completely humble and you've stuck to what you are, and I think that's probably half the reason it's gone so big and so successful. But I'll touch on the mental health and that in a minute, but what I was meaning to ask you was, I mind watching a documentary on BBC Alba. I think, was it BBC Alba, your documentary?
It was BBC Alba, yeah.
And I mind in that Boydie part of the video, he went out in his boat by himself and he said, like, this is my release, this is where I can go just to get away from everything. And because obviously, like, you have your social media will just be mental the whole time. There's people wanting to be in touch with you the whole time. And like as you say, that the band was your release from that dark spell you went through, but do you find that you need a release now from just the whole Peat and Diesel thing sometimes, a way of getting away almost?
Yeah, totally. There's a lot of pressure that comes with everything that we started doing. Then the longer the band was rolling on, the bigger the gigs were getting, and the bigger the gigs get, the more pressure everything around it starts coming into it. So everybody thinks, oh yeah, the fame, the fortune, it's all glorious. There is no fortune, by the way, just putting that out there. We spend more than we earn. So
I can't believe it.
It's not a fortune teller, I'm afraid. But no, what I'm trying to get at there is that the more pressure that comes from every side, the harder it is to manage everything. Now, what you need to remember as well is I've got no right to complain. Innes has a son as well. He's building his house. He's got work. Sometimes Innes can be working up to 70-hour weeks, and it's a strain. It's a strain on everybody. The whole work thing. I don't have as many commitments as I used to. I actually had to give up the pipe band in the end because it was just too much. And there is times in life where you just have to say no, and you just have to. You can't be everywhere. You can't do everything. I said I took on last year. Last year was my first year in management in Stornoway. I managed Point FC under 18s, and
decent.
I had said to the boys that I was going to take them on this year as well. So I stuck to it, and I said that this season was probably, I'd do a 2-year and that would be me. Just because the way the band was going, I didn't want added pressure again when, if we hadn't had lockdown, the scenario right now was it probably would have been worse than it was before.
Yeah.
So we turned at the start of this year, we went on tour. So the Badlands was the start of our UK tour. which means we're away Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Friday, Saturday for the next 5 weeks. Now, I've got to get it off work, and that's, you think about it, that's 5 weekends in a row.
Yeah.
So I'm going to my boss. I'm asking for 5 weekends off in a row. I take the Friday off, so we go away on the Friday, play Friday night, play Saturday night. Sunday, we're traveling back up from wherever we came from. Sometimes it was Edinburgh, Aberdeen, Glasgow, basically the whole of Scotland. And we're back to work Monday morning, 8 o'clock. So just, you think about that, you know, didn't work favorably for us. There was 2 weekends in that tour that ferries were cancelled on the Sunday. Headache again. What are we going to do? How am I going to get home? Can't afford to take another day off, etc., etc. So the first time I flew home was a 7 o'clock flight. Oh man, I was at the airport. I remember getting to the airport at 5:20, and I was like a zombie. I was just absolutely buggered, and got the flight home, and I was straight into work. I remember stopping at the filling station. I got a double shot latte, and I got 2 Red Bulls, and I sharked the coffee and then cracked the tin and just knocked it back, because I was absolutely, I knew without that I wasn't going to survive the day. So I just had I needed the caffeine, and you know, it was just, so that was hard. So that 5 weeks then, that was us into March then. So March, things started slowing down, but April again, we were going to Ireland and everything was starting to pick up again. So the week before lockdown, we were basically crying out for a break after the tour. And there you have it. You could have a, you know, we couldn't have had a bigger break than we've just had.
Yeah, it was meant to be.
And for the last 3 months, we've been absolutely gagging to get out for a gig, man. It's just, in fact, I'd say more than probably 3 years. Probably the last 5 months, we've been absolutely just wanting to get out and entertain.
Yeah.
We didn't think we'd miss it this much, and you just got to be careful what you wish for, guys, because it might actually just happen. And,
of course.
For all the good reasons. Yeah, it's been tough.
I seen Torridon were in the Ironworks last night, so you know, maybe it's just starting to, especially up here, it's starting to creep back now. You know.
Yeah, the Ironworks itself is it's 1,000-person capacity, and the limit last night was 100.
Yeah, it's not great,
so
is it?
For me personally, it's a no-go. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm saying it is great. It is great that it's happening, and it's great that bands can get out and play. But from our perspective, from a Peat and Diesel perspective, I'd say our crowd are lively.
I'd say the least.
They like mingling with each other. They like, you know, we're all, it's just it's a big basically family and friends, and they like, it's like having a whole yali. That's why I don't think it would work for us. 10 tables of 10. I don't think it's us. But again,
I agree with that. Yeah,
it's great to see Kenny and the boys back out there. You know, they're a fantastic Highland band, and yeah, it's phenomenal seeing them live. It's just live music. It's good to have it back, and
it's just a start. It's just a start.
Exactly, that's it. Yeah,
creeping back, totally, you know. But totally. It's good to see Kenny in that back in action. But also, want to tap into yourself personally too. You kind of mentioned maybe you had your struggles and that before. Was that in earlier life, or what's the? Tell me about your story.
Earlier life wasn't actually too bad. You know, I'm raised from a great family. Always had great family around me. Kind of fell into the wrong group of friends, you could say, through my teens, probably from 13 to 16. You know, out of the weekends, all these boys getting in trouble with the law.
Yeah.
And although you weren't specifically doing that, you were still recognized as being these guys' friends and hanging out with them all the time.
Yeah, fly with the crows.
Yeah, that was kind of, I had to kind of distance myself in the end from that and try and make new friends, which again was kind of daunting for me. You know, not really that at the time. I wasn't that kind of sociable person.
Yeah.
You know, people probably that knew me then and know me now would say it's two total different Uilleams,
Yeah.
because you know I could strike a conversation with anybody now and probably talk for days, and you'd have trouble trying to stop me probably.
Yeah.
No, but like I don't know if people, there is probably people out there listening that will understand where I'm coming from. So that kind of that change from that group to another, trying to find another group, so to speak, was hard. And it again, you know, you feel left out, you feel excluded from everything for a time. And
Yeah.
I eventually got some great pals, and I've had one or two people that have always been with me. But again, you know, I was never one to talk personally about these things to anybody.
Of course.
I know now it's the right thing to do, and it's actually how you manage things. That's how you get by now. That's kind of registered. But you know, I'm 30 years of age now. Of course, I should know that now. So yeah, like I talked about again, moving out of the family home and then coming back. That I'm still there today. Coming back was pretty tough, you know. Just the way things went, kind of fell right into a really deep part where it was affecting the relationship and reflecting everything around me, and for a fact. And again, I wasn't really talking about it. You know, I'd still go out, and I'd go out at the weekends, turn that off.
Oh, I bottle it up.
Act like it's fine, you know, just pretend we'll get by, you know. But then when you come back from that night out and you're alone, and that's when things start getting worse.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, this is probably my first for, you know, the parents listening as well, you know, all this, you know, totally blind to it. The few months there after coming home was probably the toughest. Really struggled. Just thinking, you know, it's all my fault, you know. I kind of mucked it up for myself, you know. I had everything set, but kind of ruined it all, and came home. And yeah, the band then started getting busier. The pressure of the band then was, because it was getting busier, everything, the hype around it, you know, our schedule from, you know, people think that we're playing Friday, Saturday, or playing Saturday night. There's so many, because things were getting bigger, you know, I'm on the phone to certain broadcast company, then Innes will be on the phone to some sort of broadcast company. I'm doing TV interviews here, newspaper edits here. Above all that, I've got this place, IELTS FM. I've got my radio show to do. I've got editing to do for other people that don't do it, you know.
Yeah.
And I've got to then try and keep a mindset every week when my boys come to me as their manager, as the bigger man, you know, that they're looking to learn from, to try and educate these boys on gaming tactics, on how to play football. You know, all this is added things into the one amalgamation that is mental health, and it can be a real struggle. But like, if you find something that takes your mind away from the whether it be football, a sport, leisure activities, or anything, honestly, like even walking is a phenomenal coping mechanism. Fresh air is next to none. Just put your earphones in, listen to your favorite tunes, and just walk.
You need that getaway, Uli, because like as you say, you're doing your radio, you're doing your podcast, you're doing the boys' football, you're doing Peat and Diesel, you're doing your own work. Like, you can't. I'm much like you. I'm too nice. I won't say no. I'll just take on stuff and take on stuff and take on stuff, and then it gets to the point you're just like, you've had no time to look after yourself.
Yeah.
And you just drive yourself into that hole. And as you say, like I do wild water swimming and walking, and you need that getaway, because if you don't, you'll just drive yourself into a hole, and then before you know it, you're down in the dumps, you know. And then you you can't just shine away from the limelight because you're in it, you know, with Peat and Diesel, and you've got to turn up for your boys on a Saturday for football. You've got your radio show, you know, you can't just forget about it all. So there's somewhere in amongst all that, you need to have a coping mechanism for yourself to be able to be like, right, I am fit enough and I'm well enough now to go and deal with all these other things, you know?
Yeah, I think the nighttime was especially difficult for me. It's when I finish work, and when you're that down, you have no motivation. And if there's nobody giving you that motivation and you don't have that motivation yourself, it's a very, very dangerous situation. I've had a few friends who are sadly no longer with us. In fact, there's a wee story about a guy, I won't mention any names, but I used to, it wasn't the league, but it was kind of an amateur setup, like a Sunday league kind of thing. We had a 11-a-side team, and a young lad, must 16, 17 at the time, and a lot of trouble in his life, and you know, a great guy, great footballer as well. Played central midfield for me. He was always in the team every week, because I knew he was very much like a Ryan Jack to me. He was my focal point in my team, that I know he's going to do a job in there, and he was there every week. And his sister, whatever happened in his life and whatever all these troubles were, he used to get in trouble a lot, follow the wrong people, whatever it was. His younger sister found him hung on the tree in his garden one morning, and I'll never forget going round, and had to go round the family home and pick up his strip and his kit, and that'll always stay in my mind. It was just an absolutely it was an awful time, and I think the whole team felt it as well, really bad. You know, we had come to the end of the season, I think, by then, but you know, it's just you're lost for words. You don't know what to say to the family. You have no words. There is nothing that'll prepare you for that situation.
What did you say? He was 16, 17?
I think it was, I think he was not far off his don't think he was far off his 18. Very young. He used to play for Hibs youth. He went through their system quite young, and then moved from Edinburgh back up to Stornoway, and kind of got in, you know, the likes of drugs and, you know, just the wrong people. I think that's all it was, peer pressure at the time. And
of course,
football then actually changed the boy to a lot of strength, and he was really starting to turn a page. Well, you know, that's the way it seemed, at least. And just very, very, very sad times, you know. And from that moment on, even till this day, you know, you ask yourself, you know, if you had known, was there anything you could actually have done to help? You know, if he had just even spoken to you, you know, I know it's another hardest thing you can do is actually speak. And it might seem hard, but once you do it, once you make that leap into actually talking, it again, it's not so much a coping mechanism. It is a coping mechanism, but it actually starts emptying everything out. And people don't realize how much support and help there is available out there. There's so many great charities that do amazing work. The likes of your Mental Health Foundation, the Awareness, the Samaritans, all these people. I mean, the Samaritans, I don't know, when I first heard about the Samaritans, I thought like it would just be this kind of regimental person with a green jacket on at the end of the phone with a headset, like a call center. But it's not. They're a real human being at the other end of the phone.
Yeah, of course.
And they are trained to deal with situations like that. And, you know, I even think the hospital is a daunting place. But one of my best friends is a mental health nurse. And, you know, even these people, this is their trained job to help your mind and to help you with things. And occupational therapy, everything like that. I mean, if there's anybody out there, you know, just seek help, ask somebody about it, you know, talk about it, find a friend, a family member, anyone. Just don't get to that situation where you have to contemplate taking your own life.
Yeah. The thing is, William, like a lot of people, Samaritans and that, they're people that have been through it. They're people that have been to they've been to the bottom,
Totally.
and they've been in that dark place, you know. But like that's the kind of whole point of this podcast. Like, see, like I'd love to go around and speak to like young boys at like football teams, and just like you have to break that stigma, because no kid at 16, 17 should be contemplating taking their own life.
No.
Like a young male, you know, and he's just, I don't know, maybe there's like suicide in males is very high, but I dare say probably in the Western Isles and in the North, there's a bit more of a stigma around it. I feel people maybe not speak as much, but as you say, where do you find the words to go and say something to that boy's parents? You know, like a bit of guidance, somebody to talk to. Could he come in and sit down to you in changing rooms? He should be able to say, Uilleam, look, I'm not feeling right. They're sitting up with me, like this is wrong with me, and then you've got him, then you know, and you can help him. And if people are too scared to speak up, you're on a hiding to nothing, really.
Yeah, I've found that it is getting better. The word stigma is used so often nowadays, because that's exactly what it is. Especially, like you say, the West Coast. I think there is a massive stigma problem.
Is there?
You see it here in the Western Isles. I mean, people just don't want to talk about mental health, and it's a total no-go topic wherever you go. I think here it is getting better. Again, hate to mention, I'm not favoritism for one band, but Torridon, the work they do. Kenny's actually a really close friend of mine, and I shout out to Kenny, because Kenny was one of the pivotal guys that was there at the time, right through that year in 2019 for me. And
oh, really?
Yeah. This was at the same time that they had released Lighthouse. And I remember one of the first messages I got was the Spotify link for that track. And I remember at the time, I was actually out for a walk that night, the first time I listened to the song. And for those that haven't listened to it, it's about mental health. And what was his name? I can't remember his name. Mind the guy from, was it Still Game? Oh, what was his name?
What, Jack or Victor?
No, the guy, the druggie. What was his name?
Oh, Methadone Mick.
Methadone Mix in the video, yeah. He's in the video starring. He's the star role in that video. And right. I remember listening to it, and I remember it kind of hit me really hit me strong that night. And you know, we've been messaging back and forth all the time, and it's good to know that there is people out there that can help you. You know, and there is always somebody willing to take that role, whether you think it or not. There is always somebody there to help. And this is the whole word stigma, where you know, in your head there's nobody but you.
Yeah, of course.
You don't think anybody wants to help you. You don't think anybody wants to know about a bad situation you're having in life, or whatever it may be. Whatever, I mean, anything about mental health is so hard to talk about. But once you cross that line and do talk about it, honestly, it'll be the best thing you'll ever do.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully even you coming on and talking about it on here, you know, people in the Western Isles will see that, and like they'll be immensely proud, you know, and they'll think like, look at Uilleam, he's gone on there and he spoke about that, and you know, it might open them up to speaking in that too. But like there's a stigma everywhere. Like I'm going through a terrible time, I'm going through a shite time right now, but like I'll see people in the co-op and they'll say, oh, how are you getting on the day? And I'm like, oh, fine, no bad. Now I should be able to turn around and just say shite. I'm not doing.
That's another thing. That was one of my most overused words through that time. I'm fine. And it's two of the most common words that you'll ever hear from somebody that's actually suffering with mental health problems. Is I'm fine. Because that, again, is they don't want to talk about it, and there is actually something going on, and there is actually something happening in their life. If somebody actually says to me, I'm fine, I'm going back and I'm going, shy back. No, you're not. No, you're not fine. You're not fine. You know, you just talk about it. And yeah, 9 times out of 10 now you will get back now. And I think it is getting better. It is getting much better than it was. There was a time, I did probably talk 5, 6, 7 years ago where there was a lot of deaths in Scotland. And it was rising by the day. It wasn't even by the week, it was by the day. it's not just a Scottish problem. I know we're just focusing on Scotland, but it's a worldwide problem.
Oh, massively, yeah, of course.
Mental health, and no matter where you are in the world, it's just it's not okay. It's not okay just to sit back and let yourself get into these things.
No, definitely not.
It's okay not to be okay, and that is one of these lines you'll hear everywhere now, because it is okay if you're not okay, and honestly, you cry out for people just to that you can help, and just talk to.
I know, because I'll start speaking to somebody, and once you start topping into them and they start opening up, I just ask a million questions, and I'm like, I'm not being nosy. I want to open up, because my yoga teacher, she says she's a meditation teacher. People go to her and she says they come in and they're dead behind the eyes and there's just nothing there, and they're down and out, and she'll also do is just sit and talk to them, go through a meditation, and she says you'll find once they start talking, they just go and go and go, and then they leave, and she says they're bright and vibrant, there's more in them, and they're just, because they've released it, they're not just holding it all in here, because I'm worse than anyone. I'll take on a million problems and then I'll just be like, oh no, I'm fine, and I bottle up, and how long
there is people out there that will notice that you're down. There's two sides. There's people out there that'll call you miserable and say, what the heck's wrong with you? Why are you so down? You've got nothing to be down about.
Yeah.
And they don't know anything about your story. And these are the people you need to avoid.
Yeah.
And then there's people that will know because they know you, will know that there's something wrong and will try and help you.
Okay.
There's a lot of times where you will probably try and block that out, and not let them, but it's, again, we keep saying it, it's just letting them in and actually letting them help you, because it is the first step in mental health.
And you get that people people turn around and they're like, oh, just smile, just be happy.
Yeah. It's horrible. It's horrible.
You couldn't be further from it.
It's really nasty. And
it is nasty, aye.
It is nasty. You get these people everywhere, and it is what it is. But there's no need for people to be like that in life.
No.
And it just outlines that they've got bigger problems than anybody else.
You don't know anyone's story. You don't know anything about anyone, so don't be judging. But I didn't know. I didn't know Kenny helped you so much through your dark days. So a big shout out to Kenny. I've done a few Scotland trips with Kenny, and he's just he'll brighten up any room. He's some.
Oh, honestly, man, he's
some kiddie.
I call him Mr. Smiley because he never stops.
That's what he's like. He's just always all smiling. But that just
he's one that always. The other good thing about these kind of people is they'll always check in. You don't have to go once you open up then and let these people into your life. They'll start checking up on you, and it's not so much checking up, but just seeing how you are. It'll be a message come through randomly. Hey man, how's things? How's tricks today? Just something simple,
Yeah.
And it's these kind of messages, and that starts a conversation then. Back and forth, and we've been meeting up since, and we made a time for dinner one day, and then he ended up being I think it was half an hour late, but it's okay, I'll forgive him for that.
Yeah. And then, well, that'll just take me on to the last thing I was wanting to talk about. Uilleam, you've got a football podcast, do you? And
yeah, I've just recently actually started it. I think just about 3 weeks ago. I'm a massive football fan. As people that know me that are watching will know that I am. I'm a massive fan of a certain team from the West End of Glasgow. I'm also support a team in red in Manchester. So this year I've got two ends of the spectrum. I'm here and I'm there. So there's no happy medium. The football podcast, actually, the first one I did was with Alec John Morrison, who a young guy who's got really a book of knowledge in his head. We ended up, I was only going to talk about Scotland and the English Premier League, which is things I was, watching every week, and I was avid off that.
Yeah.
But we started trailing then into German Bundesliga, Italian Serie A, La Liga, and we were going across European, and I'm like, I only had to ask a question, and I was getting like a world of answers back, which is it makes it so much easier, especially like you'll know yourself if you're a host of a podcast or anything at all, radio show, whatever it may be. If you've got someone that it's not so much knows what they're talking about, but has a passion for what they're talking about is what I'm looking for. It's so much easier because you can bounce back and forth all the time.
Of course.
There's nothing worse than having someone who doesn't, and you've got to try and force it back. It's so hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, the football, the second I just released the second one there 2 weeks ago, was it? The week it was the night before we went away to our European Championship game, the final game of the group, the playoff. Sorry, and we were just talking about how big a week it was for Steve Clark, and it wasn't just a big week for Steve Clark. It was a big week for us as a nation, a big week as us. You know, you're talking 20 years of history there that we've just not been good enough, and we just haven't had it. I still think we don't have it. Potentially, like we don't have a team. We don't have a team as a nation that can go and beat these kind of teams into a last 16 place. I don't see it. But again, it's a great achievement. It's a major tournament. But then again, we come back from that, and then we're top of the table going into our following week, and your high just goes back to a low.
It's just typical Scotland. Like it's the most Scottish thing ever.
It really is typical. And see, when I support Real Madrid as well, so for Luka Jovic to come off the bench and score, I was like, I just said it as well in the group chat. I says, Jovic is coming on. Watch him. And it was the ease of the cross into the box and how he's just nobody around him. And I'm thinking, this guy is deadly in the air. I know how deadly that guy is in the air. And it's just simple down, man. And I'm like, he's a free man. And the podcast again it's a great release. And talking about things that you're passionate about is brilliant. Yeah.
What's the podcast called?
We don't actually have a proper. We haven't come up with a proper name yet. So any suggestions are welcome.
I'll think on it.
We've got it on our Mixcloud page, so it's just mixcloud.com Uilleam-Macleod. So yeah, you get us on there, and we'll hopefully get it every week. A lot of stuff to talk about Scottish wise as well.
Yeah.
Especially this week. Celtic dropping another 2 points.
All right.
Rangers making ease of Aberdeen today. So
dare I ask what the score was?
4-0 today. Yeah, 4-0.
We fucked it this year. We've thrown away the 10 massively.
It's Neil Lennon's got a big problem on his hands just now. There's too much chopping and changing. In my opinion, anyway, the Celtic team, he doesn't know his own best 11 right now.
No, he doesn't.
And I'm not. I'd go as far to say as Lee Griffiths is probably one of the best players you have, and Rogic is probably one of the best players you have, but they don't feature in the starting lineup.
No,
now that's Neil Lennon's decision to make. But when I'm looking about, I'm not seeing qualities. I'm seeing the likes of Shane Duffy, especially the game in Europe there. The game in Europe there, man, that was absolutely dog rank from the get go, man.
He has been
Sparta Prague. This team that are missing 7 first-team players.
Yeah.
And, what is he, a part-time Sparky gets a hat-trick, man? Nah. Yeah. You don't have that. If you're in these competitions, you need to be challenging.
Yeah.
Not even these teams. You put up a fight, the likes of AC Milan, who are phenomenal Italian side, and they were on a really good run up until a few weeks ago there. And, to go from these kind of games, there's ups and then down, but at the minute it's just not happening for them. And there was a matter of time. The thing about Rangers this season is the depth Steven Gerrard has in the squad.
The difference.
I looked today at the likes of our bench. You've got Steve Davis, who is an international cap player, who is a phenomenal midfielder. Yanis Hadji. All these players that can come off the bench and make a difference to a game. We didn't have that. We've come down from the depths and come back, and I'm sorry to say it, but Cheerio 10 in a row.
Yeah, we've obviously fucked it. I can't even argue about that. Like the difference is this year, like Rangers have a structure. They've got a structure.
Yeah.
They've got a way
Oh,
of playing.
totally.
They've got that belief. They've got that hunger in them. Celtic, like we've dominated for so many years, and we've just expected teams to roll over. But now every week it changes. Duffy will be in. Ayer will be in. He's got boys playing all over the place. And like I was one that was screaming for Duffy. I thought he comes in. That's our prayers answered. He has been fucking terrible, to be frank.
You needed a centre half for sure. That was a buy that needed to happen. And it was funny because Twitter went absolutely mental. Shane Duffy signed, and everybody was like, "Oh my word, yes." And then I remember the following 2 weeks, he actually scored twice. He had 2 headers the following 2 weeks, and ever since then,
yeah, it's been fucking awful. Like, but I'll go back. I will go back to Scotland because obviously, like I'm a massive Tartan Army man. Follow them home and away all over the world. And that game the other night, like I was in the pub and I tried to leave. I said, boys, I can't watch penalties. I can't go through this heartbreak because you thought 1-0, 89 minutes. You thought even for Scotland, we've done it. We were going to do it. And then, as you say, Jovic, oh my God, it's just absolute heartbreak. And then the 3 subs he took on were honking. I hate McBurney. I cannot take to him at all.
He's useless, man. Lanky, absolutely useless, man.
Oh, and then what did they bought? Well, they didn't batter us, but Marcy made that save mind in the last couple of minutes extra time, and then it goes to penalties, and you thought, oh, I don't know, we were all right in that last shootout, like, and then but I seen McBurney step up, and I thought, oh, like he's fucked it, and then it was just written in the stars for it to be your man to come up and take the last penalty. And oh, you can't even describe that moment. Like I was crying for days after it. When you listen to Uilleam Macleod's his commentary on it, it's just I get tingles even talking about it now.
The important point you made there was the David Marshall. Everybody's saying the save for the penalty was good. The save to his top right corner to play out was absolutely 10 times the save that he made for the penalty. It was the thing about it was. We let them get back into the game, and when Serbs start getting into the game, then they started pushing on us. I mean, we had numerous chances.
We were good.
Numerous chances to put that game to bed, and we didn't do it. And this is this thing. This was Scotland, and you're starting to. I'm a man, like, if a game's sitting at 1-0, I am absolutely sweating from head to toe. And I'm like, no. It doesn't even matter if it's the 60th minute. It could be the 60th minute. I'm still breaking it. And you've seen the change then from, I think it was the 75th minute, and the Serbians started getting on top of the game. I think it was even from the second half. We were so deep and we weren't getting out. And I knew as soon as that corner was given, I said, right, if they get a chance here, it's in. And then I was, oh man, the sweat, man. Oh, I say based on the second half, we didn't deserve the victory, but
we didn't know.
We held out, and David Marshall, credit to him, and I wouldn't have gone with him in my starting 11. I don't think I actually did go with him in my starting 11. But he was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. Great performance. And
it's just incredible.
Yeah, it was just special night.
Then the 2 games after that, you just think, fuck me, like, when are we ever top of a group? 2 games to go, all we need is 3 points on glorious failure. He shouldn't have gone with that weaker team, He shouldn't have gone with that weaker team. Our main
problem, I think, is, and it's in the final third, definitely, but
it is.
We don't have the likes of a Harry Kane.
No,
this is the same problem Rangers had for ages. We don't have that striker that's going to go out and we know it's going to score goals. Other than the likes of Lee Griffiths. I mean, Lyndon Dykes was fantastic that game, but Lyndon Dykes wasn't even like, if I was watching the game, I wouldn't have said he was a striker. Yeah. His hold-up play was excellent. He was holding his team. He was holding the team away. He was playing passes, critical passes into the final third. We need someone then to play on top of Dykes through that. We know if he's through on goal, he's going to score.
Yeah.
Just Lee Griffiths, yes, but Lee Griffiths for 90 minutes, I don't think so. But
I thought he was quite poor, to be honest. When he came on the other night, how are you getting on? No, just on it. I'll not be long anyway. That's my dog just getting dropped off. He was away getting walked. what's I saying? Griffith. I thought when he came on, I thought he was poor in the. He came on in the Serbia game. He just didn't look fit. I didn't think. I thought he was. He looks like he's carrying a wee bit of weight, and he's not played much for Celtic either.
I say he's playing a lot of football. He's not actually playing a lot of football, but I think the run of games for these kind of players is quite tiring. The likes of Ryan Jack there, even today, you could tell, as good as he is, Gerrard had seen at halftime that he was starting to lack off a wee bit. Now, he's had a busy few weeks. In fact, he's had a busy few months, even with Rangers as well, because we're playing European football as well. So he knew that 60 minutes, that was his time, Whereas at 60 minutes, Celtic are saying, oh, well, time to put on Lee Griffiths now. But I think he actually deserves a start for Celtic, to be fair. I don't think Odsonne Edouard's been as good this season. I mean, he had a great few seasons there, but not this season. But
we're tailing off. But are you gonna go down to Wembley?
No, I wish I was. I think a few of the boys in the group chat, actually, the Helmsdale boys, I think they've booked their flights already. And
Billy Cowie and all that.
Yeah, I think they're all on the way down, and I follow Scotland, but I'm not religious on international football. It's just it was so many years of just same old story, and
heartbreak.
This year, when we got to a playoff, I thought, well, I know what's going to happen, and it was a shock when it didn't happen, but a good one. Yeah, it's good to see them do well, and you look at the English team though, but there's a lot of young talent in there.
Yeah, a lot of talent.
I'm starting to question what Steve Clarke's what he's going to be thinking team wise for that game.
110.
You've seen him play that 3-5-2. I'm scared. Actually, Raheem Sterling, man. Yeah. Who's going to stop him? Who's going to stop him? There's only one person in that team who knows Raheem Sterling, and that's Scotty.
Aye.
And even Scotty, I don't think he won't manage to keep up with him. Raheem's so quick, and the way the ball sticks to these kind of players' feet, the way that their agility, the movement, it's too good for someone.
England are very good individually, a lot of individual stars, but then they slipped up there against Denmark, got beat by Belgium, and
England can turn it on, but just turn it off just as quickly.
Yeah.
They're very hit and miss, but they do have the quality. This is the difference. They've got the players. I look at our Scotland team, and the likes of Ollie McBurney shouldn't even be in there, man. He shouldn't even be in that team. There's far better players in Scotland, even in the youth system, than Ollie McBurney. And I'm not having a laugh. Honestly, I watched him come on, and he's 6'8" or whatever he is, and he just looks like a big lanky tree.
Yeah,
he reminds me of a Peter Crouch.
Yeah,
and Peter Crouch could actually do something and change a game in his day. But Ollie McBurney, and anybody that tries to tell us otherwise is just absolutely wired, man.
He was like 20 million or something. He went for 22 million.
Yeah, that's crazy money. And that's another thing. Don't even get me started on that money, man. The money is just getting thrown about for players.
That's stupid. It's just become a business now. It's not a sport anymore.
It is exactly. That's exactly as an enterprise.
There's so many people. There's people. I'm going to the Scotland game with all the boys from Durness and Tang. But there's people from Brora, from the village, that don't even watch football, are going down to. I think it's just the fact that we've finally done it. They reckon there'll be about 250,000 will go down to that. So
they reckon. The thing is, the thing about all this is it's the same with live music as well. Nothing is going to happen until there's a vaccine.
Yeah.
And the vaccine has to be proven. It has to come, and people have got to realize that when the vaccine. They say it's 97% accurate at the minute. If this vaccine comes in, it's not going to come in for billions of people. It's going to be millions of people. And then you've got to realize there's going to be a list of people that are needing the vaccine first. Our stadium's going to be open by this time. I'd love it to be, but to give you a wee picture, we're not actually taking any bookings until July, August, the end of July, the start of August next year. that's how serious the matter actually is. You know, it's not looking good. The likes of the Torridon thing, yes, it's great to see, but on a bigger scale for festivals and bigger venues, for people getting close contact, it's going to be a long way away.
A long haul.
Yeah.
Well, what can you do? But nah, it'll be good. You never know. We might have Peat and Diesel on in Wembley at halftime entertainment.
Well, you never know. If Boydie comes up with something tonight, you might just.
I heard the thing on the MFR where did they get in touch with you to ask, and they said to Boydie, "What would you say if you got into the changing rooms?"
Yeah, has anyone in here got a drink?
Probably is what he as well, but no, that's perfect. Uilleam, thanks very much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
No, thanks very much.
I'll message me your football podcast and the name of your young boys football team, and I'll stick that on my Instagram and just get a word out there. So that's much appreciated, mate.
No, thanks very much.
Okay, right. Take care, boy.
All right, Scott. See you later, man.
Thanks, mate. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Bye.